in 2020 to 64% in 2023.
To take it usually from the point of view that it's really an calories, the barter system, currency notes. And now we talk about e-naira and all those cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the rest of them. Essentially, it is still all about. I'd like to take decentralized finance from the approach of how we started and where we are now. It's about there's what we call the digital transformation, digitalization, and digitization. They are different things. So digitization, moving from paper to paperless, that's all it's all about. Digitalization, beyond just moving to paperless, you are now also changing business models. For instance, today you hear
we're invited for the Future of Payments conference, something like this. Senator was also on that particular panel, and we're talking about the future of payments and fraud, I think, and we'll be talking about cryptocurrency and regulation. As at that time, it was very difficult to put cryptocurrency and regulation in one sentence. If you could remember, flash your mind back, because those in the crypto world were like, we are a decentralized system, and the essence of crypto is decentralization. So by the time you bring in regulation, you have taken the essence of decentralization. But today, what we are seeing now is that we are now appreciating the regulation to some extent, because why? It gives that protective cover. So that is what we look at in terms of that we made with all that. So when you talk about our position in the blockchain space and where we see ourselves in the next 5 or 10 years, regulation has a very big role to play. And we want to thank God that at least the SEC has actually taken a step in the right direction to provide some form of regulatory cover for crypto exchanges that we have in Nigeria. So for example, I'm partnering with a blockchain company, for example, in Switzerland. And basically what we do is to first say, instead of pushing the services to your face and say, adopt it, use it. First and foremost, we train you first. You must understand it. So we train you, we give you that capacity, like a demo, like this is how you're going to work, So before we now start to say, okay, when you see that, you appreciate it, you can now begin to adopt it. It's because driving adoption is very key. There is a lot of locked capital in Africa. So when you see liquidity in the crypto market and you hear a state government borrowing $100 million and they're clapping that their government went to secure a deal of this capital or liquidity can be tied, to public spaces. So these are the kind of partnership we seek. So, the public sector on blockchain, and we are looking at bringing real estate into that sector. We're also trying to do that with private financial institutions or even private institutions themselves who would like to utilize blockchain in their processes. So if you're here today and you feel, you want your people to know about blockchain and how we can use it to drive your process, we are available. So that is where the adoption is going to start from.
So imagine you want to take credits, right, from a bank, and the next thing they are telling you is they don't have, you're a new customer to the bank. I have to transact with you for 6 months in a new bank when I have a very good transaction history. You just pull your data through your consent from wherever it is, both your KYC data, both your transaction history, then the payment part also come into place, which is the broader version of open banking, which is open finance, right? Wherein when it's time for repayment for credit facility, there is direct debit issued on your account across all the banks. So, think of it as a better way in terms of customer experience when it comes to our financial journey. Next slide, please. I don't know why it's not. Operator, can you please take to the next slide? Okay, so this is just to reiterate what I said earlier. Then I'll be the that's data aggregator. So Z-Africa, for example, Mono, and quite a number of other players, they gather this data from different points. That's from the banks and the FIs, also from companies. So data is like telco data. So you'll be surprised at how data from the telecommunications in terms of your data subscription, the number of calls you make and everything. Okay? So let me just continue. So they play an important role in those data sharing.
So transport and logistics, I'm going to give a case study with what we are doing with Cowrie. But the challenge is the infrastructure. You need to get a card, you need to get devices and all of that. So it's quite expensive. And most of the phones that proliferate Nigerian markets, like $10 to the PCB, the primary circuit board of the phone, and they don't feel like telling someone to buy a phone that is a bit more expensive. So most of the techno manufacturers and Infinix, they took it out. But those are the phones that we have most of, in Nigeria. iPhone. So, and they already have their own. You just wonder, you worry more about providing. The thing will not ask for PIN. Some people even send your card and they will just take your money because it doesn't have my adoption is very low. Because Nigeria fits immediately. Let it be something around about their money in Nigeria. Then there are infrastructure gaps, like I said before. Then also, because if you really want to do this, nothing is unhackable. It was around something that we call quantum computing. So the book is mostly about AI and the wave of technology and how it's going to affect humanity. So there is a $1,000 device that you can use to create a pandemic that will kill everybody. And it's just there. There's no regulation, nothing that we should really be scared. But one of the important things that he said about some of this penetration, and you need to connect it with people, and you need to be able to, that most of us it is low, but most of us don't know. For example, we are putting some devices in the market that is like a sachet phone, all those phones, where to receive call, they can use it to listen to their favorite radio, Bond FM, or whichever radio station they listen to. They can use it as torchlights, and they can also use these devices to accept payments. Because there was an argument that says that phones and payments don't match, but it depends on the sector. If you give a phone payment to a barber shop, it may not match, it will work. And the reason why it will work is that the Keke Napep driver will not forget that phone at home. They will always bring it because they know that it's their phone. And when you are paying, it's very unlikely that a call will come in. But the way we've even built it in such a way that when you are paying, it locks. So cost of implementation is now ridiculous. Then security concern. So there are upgrading technology for NFC technologies. You can easily just go and read up on it. And this has made the security so educating people so that you understand that this technology is the future, is best. And then we got to a point where CBN even gave a guideline to say, you know what, up to 15,000 naira, you can use it without PIN because there's no harm in that. If you come 15,000 to $1 now, is less than $10. Yeah, I mean, but it is as you are watching your favorite series, you see someone just pay easily. If you are using the rail line, the blue line, people use their Cowrie card. Now the interesting thing is that bottom of the pyramid that uses the bus, the BRT, are now getting familiar with it because it's the only means of payment. So people that have not even passed through the stage of, some of them never had a bank account before, and they are using contactless payment now. So early adopters can use promotions to encourage their customers to embrace them. So when you experience it, then you see that this thing is not as bad as it is. So if you are creating your event and you say contactless is the only means, people want to come to your event, they want to come and watch your show, and they will. Internet is still a problem in Africa. Some people may argue, MTN is dishing out threats now saying that don't do it, and it's dwindling, it's all over the place. As a result of that, this will accept our payments infrastructure because we largely rely on internet. Some companies like MoneyPoint and all of that, they are saying that, hey, we are not going to be giving you SIM card anymore. So merchants, you pay for your own data. I imagine a scenario where the data hike goes to a roof and people will start saying that, you know what, I'm going to charge you extra 20 naira if you are going to pay digitally because I want to cover my data cost. It's crazy. So it can work regardless of whether there is data or not, depending on how you build it. That was exactly how we built the Cowrie card. And then, of course, sensitization. So the Cowrie case, a lot of people thought that we started from Lagos. We didn't start from Lagos. We actually started from Ubomosho. That's a school, a Lautech teaching hospital. So we went there and then we told the...
And there you have it. That was a presentation made by Mr. By the way, is the co-founder and the CEO of Touch and Pay Technology. Fantastic presentation it was yesterday. And also you saw the presentation also made by another very young man, Mr. David Adeleke. Mr. David Adeleke, founder and CEO of Zenith Africa. And those were some of the highlights of day one of the lecture as we begin to talk about innovation, and we'll talk about solution and tackling the challenges in the payment system in Africa. Your esteemed personalities, Commerce Conference 2024. Those who play big in the financial sector. And we've had leaders, experts, innovators coming in to talk to us on solutions, on how to navigate. Payment is the backbone of commerce. There are challenges, no doubt, but what our government policies are in tandem to us, giving us the needed atmosphere today too. We'll be taking a keynote speech, and the keynote speech is from the Managing Director and the Chief Executive Officer of Paralex Bank, Mr. Femi Bakare, who was head retail and SME business Paralex Bank. We'll be speaking on innovating for financial inclusion, leveraging digital banking to expand access and drive growth. Esteemed delegates, please, let's welcome Mr. Femi Bakare, represented by Frank Alarakmo. Please put your hands together for him. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Good morning once again, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Frank Alarakmo. I'll be delivering a keynote address from my Managing Director, Dr. Olufemi Bakare, popularly known as Mayor in the industry. He's the Managing Director and extend his very warm and heartfelt gratitude to have been invited to this very wonderful occasion. So please, I'll be taking this in a very short time, and I'll please ask that we ask questions just after the presentation because I'm open to that. Ladies and gentlemen and fellow tech enthusiasts, ecosystem drawn across various financial institutions and organizations in Nigeria. Now, this year's theme, which is unlocking the future of both cross-border and contactless payments across Africa. This will allow the participants to discuss safe transactions across entities and organizations, be it business to business, business to person, or person to person. My expectation is that at the end of this conference, participants will have been armed with blockchain technology and other forms of pervasive and have pervaded the age to me, innovating for financial inclusion. I'm able to say that the financial sector in Nigeria has made very audacious strides in providing both payment options and points to their customers, albeit how safe and seamless it could be. The data from the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System, NIPS, shows that in 2020 we are 600 trillion naira. Naramatics.com, the volume of NIP transactions, NIP is NIPS instant payment, anyways, that were processed by NIPS jumped from 743 million in July 2023 to 907 million in July 2024. That represents a 22% increase year on year. And that also signifies an average of 6 transaction accounts in the industry. Million or 6 transactions per customer. And if you embed it around accounts to 82 million BVN of 2 accounts per customer. There are over 1.56 million registered financial inclusion POS agents. We call them POS agents. Now, this record actually was as of June 2024. In 2023, the total value of POS agent transactions in Nigeria was 10.73 trillion, which was a 27.85% increase compared to 2022. Generally speaking, the number of POS terminals that are deployed had grown to 1.8 million as of March 2024. It has increased to over 8.8 trillion as of July 2024. That's a 45% growth. And we're just 3 years old, by the way. And these agents offer all these services across the 36 states of the Federation, including the Federal Capital Territory. As a bank, we currently occupy the 10th position in agency banking services among banks, and the 7th position in the coming year. And I'm emphasizing that a regional license by presence. We have carefully positioned our digital products to be offered to millions of Nigerians through our mobile applications and cards for both individuals and corporate bodies. Hence, we offer limitless banking possibilities. 24-hour customer contact center has been equipped to bridge the gap of non-physical presence of our staff across all states, transacting digitally, borderlessly, and limitlessly. I'd like to tell you today that the financial institution with the, shall I repeat that? The financial institution in Nigeria today that has the highest number of actively transacting customers has no vault. They don't have a branch in every state. As a matter of fact, you don't even know their head office. Yet, the 2.6 million actively transacting customers. So banking has gone beyond and what is physical and digital. Now, across all our branches and in some offsite locations, we have situated our automatic teller machines, the ATM, which has earned an industry SSD service, the star 123. Hence, ensuring that no one in Nigeria, and indeed Africa, contains lots of potentials. The PAPS initiative is a testament to what lies ahead of us as a people. The platform offers a cross-border payment across Africa, irrespective of the local currency in use, and with this initiative. And I can tell you that your Paralex bank account can receive funds from any country in Africa, value and access to your fund. Now, this modest but very profound growth through these offerings has paid off for us as a bank. And the testament is that it has translated us to becoming a profitable bank as far back as March 2023, in just 1 year and 4 months of operation, that have actually broken even before in the first 6. And this is a testament to what digital transformation can do. It can make banking very profitable and also efficient. Now, as we journey into another phase of banking growth, as heralded by the recapitalization mandate, the assurance of our shareholders and our board of directors at Paralex Bank Limited that the minimum capitalization requirement of 50 billion naira will be met before the deadline without any merger or acquisition. And we know that we are going this way because we have a history. Recall that in the history of that are translated to become a commercial bank. And I'm able to say that very soon we'll also become, that will be the first. That's our target. That's our target. Now, from where we stand of the bank, we believe so much in that. Why creating what has been created? Banking is an ecosystem. It operates around the products, the offerings, the banker himself, the payment ecosystem, in any way. And so today as a bank, ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to join the league of those who are limitless, because that's our belief. We are positioned to affect your lives and your businesses in a very positive manner. They are all limitless, and their staff. And the acronym is SEEEDD. We call it the seed mantra. Discipline that is offered in a digital manner. All grow together. To conclude this address, we want to thank the organizers of this conference for giving us the opportunity to speak to these great minds that are gathered here. We're grateful and we do not take it for granted. We welcome everyone to this session for today, and God bless you. Amen.
Shall we again give him another round of applause? Thank you so very much. You may need to stay back a little bit. Managing Director and CEO, Paralex Bank, Dr. Femi Bakantrode, delivered by Mr. Frank Alarmo. And our delegates, we need to, first, congratulations to Paralex Bank. A fantastic journey. And it's also agree with me that there have been challenges. And one of the things we plan to do in a conference like this, I did say that this is a conference, so we need to gain idea, tap into experiences of those who have navigated through the stormy waters of the financial environment and see how they succeeded. A fantastic story we have from Paralex Bank, the first microfinance institution in Nigeria to translate into a commercial bank. That's not a mean feat, it's a very huge one. But how did they achieve it? What are the steps taken? What are the things that we must in the questions? And dear delegates, if you have a question, when I was listening to you, I said to myself, regulation in this environment, how did you navigate all of that?
Okay, so thank you for that. Rather, in 2021, to become a commercial bank, there were 823 microfinance banks in Nigeria. That was a finance bank. The requirement was 100 million, and for the federal was 1 billion. So the journey of a consistent one, and that's what banking is all about. Corporate governance, adhered to by a growth that needed to be driven through technology. So it wasn't so far-fetched when the bank actually applied to increase its capitalization again to 5 billion. And the Central Bank of Nigeria said, you guys want to become a commercial, sit down and let's discuss if you'll be interested in being had its approval to operate. That was 2021 as a commercial bank. To becoming what it has become today. But I can tell you that, yeah, challenging, very good, but it's all about discipline. Actually, what translated the profit. Those are not taken by any reckless director because of power mongering. Everything is done according to the books, and it is done very level. I mean, for even if you're an executive, see, before you take to ESCO, and then if it requires a board approval, you will get it. Those things have been the values that have been entrenched in the organization, that anyone that comes to the profitability of the business as of today.
And thank you so much. I expect questions from delegates here. I mean, for example, I just want to ask you that, how did you get the trusts of your customers? Because that's another key one, building trusts. And again, you know, your topic actually is security, phishing, and a whole lot of threat of hacking in this sector.
Okay, well, speaking about trust, my enjoys is having access to tax and when due. So, is concerned. And that bank, which is a commercial banking license.
Just let me interject there. What's the difference?
Okay. Thank you. The difference is this. If the requirements of a commercial bank, right? But you offer them through commercial means. But as a bank, we offer our commercial products through the digital means. So we minimize our investment in real estate, and we invest more in digital assets. Modest, because we are not expecting the whole of Oyinbo market to enter into our banking halls. We expect the whole of the Oyinbo market to use our digital products, digital channels in their shops where they are. I can tell you, if you visited China today, you realize that banks are no more in their bill. Buy an electronic gadget, you tap and pay. We have done banking, but you haven't been to the bank. Are now issued from their offices as businessmen and women. Why can't we get there? You can go to your Formen platform today, the e-trade portal today, and register a Formen, right? That is possible already. So why can't we advance to that point where I can actually make a request for a letter of credit without going to the bank? And we have regional payments opportunities for it. So banking provides services and not to build a house to call it a bank. Then talking about security, because those are the digital assets we have invested in. As you see, that some other financial institutions have one of the strongest firewalls for both internal and external. So wherever there is a cyber, remember the hackers are there, and they can be white or they can be black, right? Dark hackers. So we understand this very well. And as they are ahead of the tune, we are two, 3 steps ahead of them. And we are believing that God helping us too, we'll keep innovating as we get into that. The other part of it about security, you must understand your risk appetite as an organization and take your risk according to the magnitude of what you can bear. So you can do a transaction that is OTP-less without the 2FA. If you want to, go ahead. But we will rather give you the seamlessness of getting it done and getting it protected than making it just open. And that's what we have done as a bank. So our processes and procedures as regulated.
Fantastic. Please let's put our hands in business paralytics. Thank you so very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Please, another wonderful round of applause for him. Thank you so very much. A fantastic presentation we have there. And I want to say a big thank you to Precepts, and thank you to all other partners and the organizers of this conference, LIIT. Thank you so very much. Dear esteemed delegates, of cybersecurity and how to ensure a secure transaction in a digital world. Concerning cybersecurity, the presenter is a cybersecurity thought leader in Africa. He is the founder and the CEO of. He leads Ethos Cyber Team, overseeing Nigeria's overall strategy to deliver value to a client. The presenter of this paper has gained extensive experience and is able to provide deep insights into customer needs, business process, and industry framework, all of which have significant contribution and has contributed to the success and completion of numerous projects handled by him. Our presenter has contributed to numerous security discourse in Africa. It has also helped in taking decisions and actions. His expertise extends to the designs and implementation of security to both public and private sector, and a certified senior cybersecurity man, Security Expert Association of Nigeria of Africa. Additionally, National Foundation and distinguished the chairman and the chief executive officer to welcome him. Keep clapping for him. You're welcome, sir.
Good morning, distinguished guests. You can hear me clearly. I'd like to thank the Future Payments and Conference and Commerce Conference organizers happen. So I want to thank all of you. And thank you for inviting me. Okay, so my name is Peter Ejiofor, and my company is Ethnos. What we do is helping organizations to secure their. Doing that, and with our years of taking bold steps to recently develop security applications, as well as providing. And so if you put all the technologies together and the individuals have bad behaviors, it could compromise. We wanted to do something that is applicable to our market, something that people can easily America, in India, they don't build it for now. Today's topic is ensuring secure transaction in the digital world. And I'd like to connect it to the talks about the fact that banks and the financial institutions have invested so much money in cybersecurity. You read in the industry, and customers are very well concerned. Why do we still have so much fraud going on? Technologies, and so they're asking questions. Will the new banking platform be as secured as the old one, or are we expecting more digital identity and then encouraging digital economy? In fact, we have a ministry for digital economy. And so people are asking, how do we deal with the challenges? Now, I don't know how criminals do what they do. I heard that they can also steal money from your WhatsApp accounts. You know, so there's a whole lot of things that are happening. I'm going to try not to be technical, all right? So I'm going to be looking at things that operators and users should pay attention to. And if anybody told you that we would stop fraud or stop crime, you probably will hear those kind of things in Nigeria, but it's literally impossible as long as human beings exist. But we can reduce them, all right? People can leverage from either the customers or the financial institution. By the way, you will agree with me that just as Parallels Bank made us to understand, and I agree completely, the financial ecosystems are everywhere. And these applications are carrying your data. And so your data, controlling all of this had become really difficult for business operators, all right? I didn't know it existed here until I opened an account with a local fintech a few days ago, that I could really open the account from my office. And I wanted to test it. In my house, I opened an account with HSBC. In my house, I opened an account with Chase, okay? And I opened an account with Santander. But then I came back to Nigeria, and a few days ago, I opened an account with a fintech company that I've done. I mean, they would rather pay me if I have to mention their names, but since they don't pay me, I won't mention their names. So, but they allowed me to open an account without having to go to the bank, and that's my phone had been compromised. Imagine if that my phone had been taken over by criminals, which is very possible. So chances are that as I'm accessing my data, they could also, if they are smart enough, join me to access my data through the account. So the data is everywhere. But the banks and the fintechs and stakeholders within the ecosystem are doing extremely, they're putting so much effort to try to put this under control. But there are areas that I will advise that they pay attention to. Number one is insider abuse, insider collaboration. A lot of the fraud that happened in the banking system and in the financial ecosystem, we found that a lot of them happened through the insider collaboration, all right? So it's something that they need to pay attention to. Another thing we found out is identity risk. You are processing financial transaction, or you're storing financial transaction, and you are currently processing your identity of those who access your system manually. You are taking a visibility to see who's coming in, and then you from the click or with the click of a button, because sometimes when you hire people or you grant people access, there are times when people are given temporary access. And because we are working in a hurry, you can forget to to revoke those, grant them access into multiple applications. And so when they are leaving and you want to manually revoke those applications, sometimes it may be difficult for you to take out all of them. And I know what happens when people do audit, because you audit this. But how much commitment do we give to those audits? And it's something that I like to talk about later on, about our attitude to compliance and audit. Another thing that I think you need to pay, I have 20 minutes, please give me signal when it's 20 minutes. Another thing that we need to pay attention will be remote access and work from home, okay? Because now, a lot of people prefer, when I interview people, they will ask me, do you do a theory on that? But not today. Now, when people, sometimes when they don't have power, and maybe the system is broken down and there's not enough time for you to come and change that system, they could use their wife's system or their own personal system. Now, those personal chances are that the activity that staff carries out is at risk. And so if criminals gain access to that legitimate user, they could use that identity, that access, to also gain access, trusted access into your system, and need their remote access, remote users, to make transaction unsecured. Third party and KYC. I have a problem with KYC in Nigeria. The bankers don't agree with me, but when I sit with them, I prove it to them. All right? So the KYC has a problem because we know that criminals have been able to use them. All right? Third-party risks. When smaller companies, recently, when he was talking about the high cost of infrastructure. And so when the smaller company startups are starting, they focus their attention on what is most important. And so security comes as an afterthought. Then, if they invest, but you have to allow them to trade with you. So open banking, interoperability, and all of that has allowed so that they can do business. And you can't stop them. Financial inclusion, you really can't stop them. Last week, I was in the UK, and then I wanted to, so I called them on the phone, and they said, okay, we have an office somewhere down the road in another location. So I drove down there. I got there, they said, sorry, we can't take your money. You have to go to the post office. So the banks, some banks don't accept cash deposit cash deposit. Here we do more of withdrawal, not more of deposit. Okay? So the banks are, the smaller companies that connect to the banking network have so much insecurity, then they go there and attack them. So when they take control of them, they watch what they do, and then we need to start to pay attention to third parties. I know that there are regulations that CBN has given mandated that there's a minimum security requirement. In experience, a different ballgame. So operators need to pay more attention to third-party risks. Okay? Social engineering is practical. Social engineering and what we call restroom, when you come into a new place, wash your hands so you can stay clean. Okay? Now, when you forward me a message on WhatsApp, now what role that this message was forwarded? So somebody builds a video content, for example. I'm sure everybody here receives Happy New Month, including me. And so you like the video, the animation, and so you push it to the rest of your family members. In fact, you broadcast it. Now, some of them have embedded malware program that once you click it, you have launched the program, you have granted the guy access to the command and control center. And so he can use that phone alongside with you. So at graduation, people celebrate their children's birthday, they put so much information unknowingly about themselves out there, and criminals can take all of these things and they can become you, digital identity, and they can use you, stand as you, and they can gain access to a trusted zone. So it's not so much about, security awareness training now, but even your personal discipline in how you. And the last speaker talked about corporate governance is one of the pillars of the success of a financial institution. Governance, I'm dealing with good governance in terms of security governance. Now, something that I like to say here, and don't kill me. When we go to the fight to pass your exams, sometimes you don't care how you pass your exams. In fact, I hear that some people don't come to the class, but they come to write exams and they pass. So the focus is on exam more than gaining knowledge and expertise. So in our governance today, they talk about things like PCI compliance or PCI certification. If you listen to the bankers, what they say is PCI certification, ISO certification. But certification is not the end, is not the goal. The goal is compliance. So certificate is the proof of your compliance. But people are willing to have the certificate and not even complying. And so when you don't comply, you create another loophole. For who? For yourself. And even when you build your processes to comply, and if the mentality or the culture of compliance is not there, as soon as you comply or certify, you go back to your old way. You roll it back. So that compliance and governance culture is something that we need to pay attention to. And if you don't pay attention to it, you have opened the wrong door for attack. Lastly, something that is not commonly talked about here is application and data risk. Platform to another. They migrate from one application to another. A lot of times, they have some unused data that is left in the system. And so you create noises. And those noises generate into a problem. And who's going to suffer it? You. And retain what you use and take out what you don't need. I think I'm done with my 20 minutes. Have I? Some questions.
And yes, indeed. Please, let's put our hands together for him once again. And thank you so much for bringing it down to everyone's level, making it quite understanding. So we'll ask questions. And please, name and the name of your organization as you ask a question. Kindly come to the front, please. Thank you so much. This way.
Okay, good morning. Thank you very much for that presentation. My name is Damilola Akinoton. I work with Zen Bank. Okay, I have a couple of questions here. Okay, the first question I have, you mentioned third-party risk and KYC risk, and you said Nigeria has one of the poorest KYC in the world. Really hear your perspective on that. And I would also want to ask you, do you think the lack of proper collaboration in the payment...
Lack of... Okay, so question number one is use case, and then we can connect it to other things, okay? And then the bank requires me to provide my proof of utility bill. Am I correct? As a proof of address. So I come to the house, and then I pay my rent through my I pay my utility through my landlord, all right? And so I take it to the bank. As long as it bears the same address that I have provided, the bank accepts it. True or false? True or false? Now, when I leave that house, if I leave that house, does the government know? Does the bank know? If I commit a fraud, can you connect me with that same old address to the new address? Now, that is the way that we are structured, because there's nothing the bank can do about it. So that's where one of the use cases, there's more. A network service provider, and I said, I want to register my number. And I have been there 4 times to details. They say, oh no, we don't store that data if you need it, all right? Now, the banks access that data. Question is, where that data goes to, how many people can access it? And how, because they do not query my current data does not refresh my old data, because they take it afresh, and if I put wrong information, they accept it. And I've done this. NIN credentials were purchased online. So the handshake, the connectivity of our data, how tight it is with respect to know your customers. That's 2. But you're asking me the third question, collaboration. Do I think they collaborate? But I don't know anywhere else where the financial institutions sit together to share security data. All right? And so they have a different organization, and they have multiple agencies that regulate different players in the ecosystem. And so I do not know which one of them anywhere in the world that I'm wondering if they understand what they're talking about, because you can't trust people enough to exchange that information.
Yeah, thank you very much. I quite understand your perspective, So, like the advent of KYC as well. So I believe that, more collaboration is needed between the banks and the fintechs to at least drive out these bad actors from the payment ecosystem. Okay, so my next question. Okay, so I know cybersecurity risk for fintechs, right, is one of the biggest, because, they are dealing with a lot of information. A couple of, fintechs have had data, but the fintechs are really investing enough in cybersecurity as a service. I would like to understand more about that, and how would that, help fintechs and small and medium-sized companies.
Thank you. 2 questions. I'll take the last first. One is, it reduces your cost by over 50%. Okay? And then the governance side of security. So what your CISO is supposed to be looking at, as in controlling your conducting offensive, defend yourself against attack, based on our risk analysis and our offensive effort, we can determine what level of defense you need, and we can implement it remotely without having to come to your office. And we're doing it currently for a number of fintech companies, okay? And then we provide governance in terms of what we call business as usual. Prepare you for audit or assessment, and we'll bring external auditors to audit you and then provide you a report of compliance. So that's how we do our CISO as a service. Now, the first question was about, what was it? That escaped me. What? Yeah, explain again. Sorry about that. Fintechs are, you have different tiers of fintechs, all right? And then you have different categories and their investment profiles. Now, some of them are investing as they grow, as they scale, and as they face risk, they also put in measures to protect their assets. But for the smaller ones, security may not be that would depend on what determine how much they can spend. Even when CBN asks them to go and show some compliance, what some of them do is to procure the certificate so that they can move forward and they're allowed to be connected because of their capacity. So, but they have the money, I can't answer that for them. So you cannot pay what you don't have. So it is the economy that can provide them support. I don't know how easily they can access credit. When I set up the first company in the UK, Dell came to me and said, we will give you credit for £10,000 for you to own computers and pay us over a period of years. And I said, sorry, I don't need it. So are there companies here that can give you credit to secure your organization pending when you start to earn money? So it is based on, again, it's determined by cost. So I think that they would have been willing to, but do they have the capacity? But they have to keep innovating and serving the unserved, banking the unbanked, and providing, expanding the economy, expanding the market based on their financial capacity.
And we must thank you, Mr. Peter Ejiofor. Thank you so very much. But we're going to ask you to stay with us a little bit more. We acknowledge those participants coming in from the online audience. We will take time to treat some of these questions. And yes, we'll be reading it. But again, I'm a bit curious. I'm a broadcast journalist, so I just want to view these from the perspective of a journalist. We have Bank of Nigeria's cybersecurity law, and also we have the NCC law. As an expert, would you say all of these laws, and again, giving your concerning cybersecurity in Nigeria?
Can I be honest with you? How many times have you seen another government agency penalize another government agency for violating the law? Let me ask you again. How many times have you seen one government agency punishing another government agency for breaking the law? How often do you see that? Very rare. So your law, see, if you take 2, 3, 4 laws and you commit to enforcing them, then when you enforce them, you can discover whether that law has a loophole, then you can add more. You can help him. And I have seen with my experience to enforce the law, don't even understand the law that they're enforcing. But they have a job to enforce the law. And I'm still questioning some of them. I'm questioning some in the tax system. I'm questioning some in other areas of government. I'm questioning some in the registrations. And I'm willing to go to court. What did they consider when those laws were created in the Constitution? But I know that once it's in the Constitution, there's such laws. So whether it is robust, yes, they may be robust. But are they being enforced? I don't think so. So that's what the problem is. So NCC may have robust laws, Cyber Security Act. Okay, I've not read it fully, but I'm told that it requires you to make public when you have a breach. At least notify your customers. How many companies have notified you that you are aware of, that have notified you that, sorry, we had a breach last year, but we have put in so much? I don't think so. I've never received such documentation. But in South Africa, they were right. In the UK, they were right. In fact, they will go public and said, we were attacked yesterday, we've cleaned it up, we've restored it, and we have looked at the data, and only a portion of the data was stolen, the other portion was not stolen, so they can't really use your data. So they restore customer confidence. So in this country, when an organization gets breached, do we know? When we suffer denial of service, do we know? When people have ransomware attack and their systems are held down for months, do people know? They hide it. And the authorities know, and some help them to hide it. Some they don't even know. And even when we know, our culture as a country is to tell the lies first. Yes. That's why I asked, am I safe? As far as the document is concerned. But in taking that document into practice, the paper cannot function itself. The people who are enforcing and implementing these laws, how committed are they to those robust laws?
Fantastic. We have questions coming in from online delegates. And again, we want to appeal to the online delegates. While sending your questions, kindly include your name. We'd like to know your name and your location. But a couple of questions here. This one said, desperate to rise. Sir, what do you believe are the primary factors contributing to this threat of fraud?
Okay, so I already answered the question earlier.
Yes.
And fraud is not synonymous to Nigeria. All right? There are frauds all over the world. In fact, America suffers the highest amount of attackers they have human beings. That's number one. Now, why is it growing? I think we are always doing catch-up. Okay? If companies have to take the information you give to them, maybe they can sit up. That's one. Two is some of the things that I've listed here, they are products and solutions to protect the environment. Sometimes they are buying because regulation requires that they buy it. And we know that there are some that buy solutions that they don't even use. So are they buying? Yes, they are buying. Are they deploying? Yes, they are deploying. Our discipline, What happens to our culture of doing the right thing as against passing the exam? So all of these things add. And people are also, in their heart, want to do evil. Can you stop them? No. The more you try to stop them, the more they are finding new ways to do evil. So you can only reduce your risk, you cannot stop fraud.
Questions coming in from the online platform. This one says, with reports that some banks are switching their core banking services to reduce operational costs, how can we legacy system? And another one said, beyond switch technologies, could bank adopt to combat electronic fraud more effectively?
Okay, so, but I do know that innovation and new technology to help you scale from that point to next point. Sometimes it could reduce costs, sometimes it could increase costs, but also increase profitability. But whether, and I also know that they would haven't faced a lot of security risks. They would have looked at the use cases and built security into the new solution. So I think I would say that they should and the old ones. I don't think they'll make that mistake. They won't let the new system to become porous. They should put the security in place. That's one. Okay, AI brings a lot of improvement, a lot of visibility, a lot of decision-making algorithms that AI can put in place or AI can be trained to even developers are concerned about seeing unusual behavior in their transaction. Yes, they can build capabilities to have visibility, unusual behavior within the system, and they can take ability to stop fraud, but it does not stop it completely.
Still another question from the participants online. Said, on the digital economic transition, you mentioned earlier, how can Nigeria's digital economy initiative balance openness and innovation with the need for strict security and fraud prevention? Balancing openness with innovation.
Openness is non-negotiable. You have to open up. You don't have a choice. So bank has open banking security framework to another bank. So those securities have already been identified and measures have been put in place by designing the framework. So if they follow those framework in their fraud, okay? But then typically every standard is a minimum requirement. So you have to build multiple layers of security to ensure that if that failover, that can help you to provide people behavior towards how they consume technology will help you. And what else can you do to improve the security? As I said, you can build codes that allow you to quickly see when things go wrong between your integration and one another. So if that is followed, if the framework is followed, you have reduced the potential for fraud is missing and what else you should add. So responsibilities is on the individual operators to build in additional security to protect their transactions that is entrusted into their hands.
I'm just going to ask you, sir, to stay a little bit more with us because we are having a lot of our participants online interested in your topic and they're asking questions. And here we have a question here. The question says, good afternoon, sir. I'd like to inquire about global standard instruction, GSI mandates in Nigeria. On paper, GSI enable banks to recover loans from a borrower's account in order to recover loan. Specifically, I have observed cases, is the GSI mandates operational in Nigeria or are there challenges hindering its execution?
Sorry, I can't help you.
Yeah. On the digital economic transition, okay. I think I should take this. Was the Nigerian government in terms of cybersecurity from Kunle?
Yes, I think I did present a paper in March this year in Abuja, talking about the risk of digital identity. Okay, so as we are more exposures. Now, what are the kind of risks that we face? One is identity risk. All right, your identity will become commodity in the market. So people will buy and sell your identities. And if your identity is compromised by responsibility that is entrusted to you. So if I were your doctor or the nurse that's looking after you in an hospital, all right? And then my identity is, person accesses my record and changes a criminal has accessed your health care. When they want to administer injection or medicine, they go back, they take it and they administer it. So if a criminal changes the medical record or the treatment of somebody and insert a chemical, dangerous chemical, then what happens? The nurse injects chemical into the man and he dies, and we may never be able to find out what happened. All right. So the risk of your identity is indescribable. That's the biggest risk. People can use your identity and represent you anywhere. Of course, make our identity. That's the biggest thing that we're going to face. That's the biggest crisis coming. Identity.
You know, so just permit me to state here, your company, Ethos, working with one of the biggest banks in Nigeria, you came up with an AI-powered site, any nation's economy, anywhere in the world. And my question was that, so if we have this, how come we've not seen the kind of revolution from the banks for SMEs, particularly given the solution that you provided for these banks to deal with SMEs?
Now, the solution will build for SMEs. I don't know how many organizations that have committed investment and research over 1 year and produced the product and is offering it for free. We did offer ours for free. And we asked people, go and use it for free. Only a few big banks are using it, and they're using it for free. The smaller SMEs supposed to help provide you security assurance on the mobile applications. In fact, it's not even all the churches have mobile apps, all right? Communities have mobile apps. There's mobile apps and API all over the place. And watch it, come back and retest it, go back again and use it, get the assurance, and then you can deploy it for public use. How many of them are using it? So the SMO that people don't, I've been in this industry for many years. All right, I don't say we're charging them money until such a time when we decide to, and some are willing to pay. So we've got solutions for SMEs. The reason why we call it for SMEs is because we can price based on your budget, not because it cannot serve the big banks that they use for their best practice compliance. So it's not because it is weak, it's just because we can customize the cost for you.
Fantastic. Do we have questions from the delegates? And I will
.com.ng, or you look at aquilasec.it. Long, you can, if you want it, get in touch with us. We can make that information available to you. You can go then create an account, use them. If you're not happy with them, let us know. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Kindly come to the front, sir. Thank you, sir. Tell us your name, the name of your organization, and your question, sir.
Thank you. My name is Emmanuel Ezewole, the co-founder of API Century, and also the sales manager at, actually, this is the man who brought me into the tech space. I worked with him, he mentored me, and I'm doing well. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, my question is, you made mention to say Nigerians don't trust the solution that we developed within country. Now, that has correct this perspective. How do you correct this perspective? What will be your advice to fellow Nigerians say, why don't we?
I will answer it in a very funny way. It's something that hurts me, all right, personally, done by others, not the one that we did by ourselves. In such manner, so deep that our educational system, all right? So to wear foreign-made clothes as against protecting by a locally set up cars as against foreign imported cars. So it comes from that perspective that the local products, I don't even call the local product anymore. The products that are designed and developed here are consumed, they are just not off-the-shelf applications. And then buy those applications from them. Some of them huge, some of them have made huge revenue from selling to B2B, and expect people to buy. We need to do more marketing like we're doing. We need to try to persist. We need to try to stay consistent. If by it will take time for us to adopt and change that call time. Even when you force them, it just means when you force them, they smuggle it in, and then the cost goes higher, and they will pay. But many of us are now putting in more effort to see that our services and our products are good enough for the market. And we are committed to making it the best. We are committed to selling it to African countries, and we are committed to selling it to Nigerians who come and buy it in the US and bring it back here.
You know, while you're just explaining this, I recall you and you declined. But looking at our own atmosphere, how much of such opportunity ideas coming, homegrown unique ideas, do you think the opportunities are enough?
I don't think so. I'm not a banker, but I hear the bankers say that they have short funds. Money to them. I hear them say the cost of money to them is expensive. You know that you cannot easily access funds here in Nigeria for investment. It is very difficult. I'll tell you two scenarios. One day I had to supply something to a local bank, a Nigerian bank, big bank, very big, to deliver. So they said, oh, we have a sister company that can give you credit. So I went to the sister company upstairs, and I said to them, okay, they gave me the condition, now margin, and I walk away. And then first they asked me to collateralize, to transfer the transaction so that the supplier, so that the bank will pay to them directly. They don't have to pay to me. So I wrote that indemnity. Then they said they will not pay the money through me. They will pay directly to the foreign company that was providing. They are going to wire the money to the foreign company. The bank will be the one to pay them. They take their money and they give me my margin, security. And I told to them, what's security? Now it is clear to me why you strip them of that thing that will make them pay the money, because you almost ask for their blood. How on earth am I going to go and meet somebody to give me collateral for a transaction that you have full control over? How? So I said, I'm not interested again. I'll go. Anyway, they finally changed it, a telecom company. And then they said I have to provide them a performance bond or advance something bond, all right, from an insurance company. So I went to a bank. I could get what will give it to you. So I asked somebody, give me APG. Then the bank said, I will deposit amount of money more than what I require, the value in APG, all right, before they can give me the APG. They don't give me money. They just give me insurance. My friend, I said, if I had the cash to deposit with you, I don't need the APG now. I'll go and buy and supply and collect my money. So he looked at me and he called the branch and tried to see if he could intervene, and he couldn't intervene. And this is a senior officer. He said to me, I think that the Islamic bank, free loan, not, and I have money with that bank, cannot even give me APG without asking me to deposit a value to buy a car, because I thought I shouldn't pay about 80 million or something to buy a car. No, I think it was 50 million. I thought that was too much money. Credit to buy this car, and I pay over a period of time. They said they will hold my credit. They hold money as collateral to a certain value. And I said, what is going on? I've dealt with you over $500 million within the year, and you can't give me 30 million naira. And they said, no. So I said, don't worry. I do know that it is difficult for startups, small companies, to access credit from the financial industry. I think it's government that can decide whether.
Oh, I like that. Since from the online audience, otherwise we might just say a very big thank you so very, very much. Thank you so much. A wonderful one. Thank you, sir. Wow. A great session that was. And again, we must thank our presenter. Distinguished delegates, it's the day 2 of this very exciting conference, the Future of Payments and Commerce Conference 2024, with the theme, Unlocking the Future of Transactions. And you agree with me that so far, it's been a very interesting talk as we've been looking at some of our challenges and how to navigate through our challenges and also to ensure we have solution, particularly in this fast-paced industry and meeting up with those of the other clients. We have other distinguished presenters for you. And the next, expanding financial inclusion through digital payment solutions. The role of payment service banks in Nigeria's evolving financial system. And our presenter, who is the CEO of 9 Payment Service Bank, with a mandate to close the financial exclusion gap in Nigeria. The presenter is a seasoned enterprise resource planning expert with about 15 years of leadership experience within a traditional banking and fintech industry. An honorary senior member of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN, and she brings the best practices and 30 markets worldwide where she has helped their go-to-markets and transformations by 9 PSB, worked in several multinational digital finance companies where she was accountable for the risk management operations of the company, its subsidiaries, and other groups of related entities, Latin America, Moldova, Ukraine, Spain, Latvia, and Balkan region. She was also responsible for the integration of risk concepts into strategic planning, risk identification, and risk mitigation activities. The presenter, amongst other notable achievements, includes a record of accelerating the adoption of digital payments and facilitating financial inclusion for various emerging markets around the world. She is passionate about women's development and empowerment and believes that financial inclusion is the right of every individual. Under her leadership, 9 PSB has won several awards, including Most Innovative Payment Service Bank in Nigeria by Global Brands Magazine, Africa's Most Reliable Payment Service Bank by African Brands Congress by the World Business Outlook Awards, amongst many others. Distinguished delegates, to present the paper on expanding financial in Nigeria's evolving financial system, please let's welcome Ms. Bianca McRajak. I hope I got that right, please. And thank you so very much. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was quite an announcement. Everything was correct but my name. My name is Branka Mračajac, but thank you so much. It's even hard honor to speak at this year Future of Payment Commerce Conference in the city that is at the forefront of Africa financial innovation. Our theme today is timely and I would say critical as well. And it will be about expanding financial inclusion through digital payment solutions and the integral role Payment Service Bank, or PSBs, are playing in shaping Nigeria's rapidly evolving financial landscape. As we all know, the digital revolution is transforming the entire world and financial services across the globe. But here in Nigeria, it holds the key to financial inclusion and social economic progress. Today, I will take you through solutions and the way digital payment solutions are expanding financial inclusion and what future holds for Nigeria's financial ecosystem. So don't worry, my presentation will not be long. It will be brief, like 10 to 15 minutes, and I hope you will enjoy it. So let's start and by Africa's largest economy and hub of innovations, over 28.9 million Nigerians still remain financially excluded from formal financial million. But from perspective of people from countries where I come from, just to give you the overview, in my last company, if you put all together all the countries that I was overseeing financially excluded people. And these people are people who live, who work, and who contribute to our economy, but lack access to prosperity, but to national economic growth. The challenge presents an immense opportunity. Digital payment solutions and payment service banks offer a pathway to inclusivity, innovation, and resilience, providing financial access to underserved and underbanked. The Nigerian government has set very ambitious financial inclusion target. It was 95% by 2024. We know we are not there yet. We are 4%. Digital providers and payment service bank are crucial to achieving this goal, let's say, in the next few years. So moving to the next slide, or slide after, I would say. Let me introduce payment service banks to you. And why are they so crucial for driving financial inclusion? PSB is designed to bridge the gap between traditional banks and underserved communities. And we have a distinct, and primarily via digital channels. PSBs are expanding financial inclusion in Nigeria. The first one would be mobile-driven banking. PSBs are leveraging the %. PSBs can reach millions of Nigerians who may not have access to traditional banking, but do have mobile phones, whether through US to the customers. The second one would be services. Affordability is a major barrier to traditional banking, especially for low-income population. PSBs operate on a lean and passing those savings to the customers. Lower fees and fewer barriers mean more people can access services like saving, accounts, transfers, and payments. The next one would be extensive agent network. One of the most powerful features of PSBs, I would say, is our agent network, which extend to reach of digital pay local representatives, enabling cash in, cash out. But in order for this to happen, there is a crucial, I would say, like foundation, and that's building knowledge. And basic financial literacy programs does not mean that people will change their behavior, excuse me, and start transacting. Financial literacy and trust are critical, and PSBs have an important role in educating communities on how to manage their finances digitally and how to trust these new systems. And this education drives adoption and long-term engagement. I think it's important also to recognize, as we are discussing PSBs, to recognize the wider landscape of digital payment solutions that are mobile money platforms. Many platforms, just to name few like Paga, OPay, they have already gained considerable traction, and these services and pay bills without traditional bank accounts. PSBs are collaborating with this organization, less mobile-first banking experience, like QR codes and US effect for rural and low-income areas where smartphones and internet access may be limited. These solutions enable instant, convenient payment. The next one is digital remittance. Nigeria's massive diaspora community sends billions of dollars back home annually. Digital remittance services integrated with PSBs can make it faster, cheaper, and easier to transfer. And then the last one would be empowering SMEs. Digital payment solutions are a game changer for small and medium-sized entrepreneurs. Access to cashless payments, points of sales systems, and digital finance. We empower them to grow, to scale, and to contribute. Easy, the question imposed, why didn't we reach the financial inclusion as targeted? So there are many challenges, and I will name a few of them. So as promising the future of PSBs and digital payment solution is, we must confront, also propose how collectively we can overcome them. First, infrastructural gaps. I think this is like the topic on every conference that I attended, that barriers in many parts of Nigeria, particularly rural areas. For PSBs and digital payments to thrive, investments in telecom and energy infrastructure key to addressing these gaps. Then the necessary payment framework for PSBs, regulations need to evolve alongside technological advancement. Striking a balance between fostering innovation and ensuring customer protection will require ongoing dialogue between fintechs, banks, and regulators. Then there is trust and literacy. I already mentioned that financial literacy is a foundation to drive financial systems. Addressing concerns about securities and building financial literacy are essential for driving adoption. And PSBs are investing in these trust-building initiatives, whether through financial education these days in newspapers about cybersecurity and internal fraud cases across financial sector. And with this rapid growth of digital pay measures, along with consumer education on fraud prevention, will be vital to maintaining this trust and ensuring the long-term success of digital finance far outweigh the risk. The collaboration between the key stakeholders, government, agencies, mobile operators, fintech companies, and financial institutions will be instrumental in driving growth and inclusion. So, what is the, as we look at the future, it is clear that payment service banks and digital payment solutions will continue to be the bedrock of Nigeria's financial transformation. Expanding access areas, leveraging agent banking network, and fostering innovations, continued innovations in payment technologies, whether through artificial intelligence-driven solutions or open banking, will shape the future of commerce across industries. Telecom, banking, and fintech is crucial. Together, we also powers Nigeria's digital economy. Let me make a conclusion. So, is more than just economic strategy. It is a national imperative. By bringing millions of Nigerians into the formal financial sustainable growth. As we move forward, after this conference and many others that are happening in Lagos in these last few months, I encourage all of us to think creatively and act decisively. The future of payment and commerce in Nigeria is bright, and with right policies, partnerships, and innovations, we can ensure that no one is left behind in this. Let's continue to drive change and expand financial inclusion in Nigeria's dynamic ecosystem. Thank you very much.
And thank you indeed. Please let's put our hands together for her. Could you just stand behind a little bit so that we'll just take a couple of questions? Ms. Branca, please. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. For all our audience, the delegates online, please, we want you to send all your questions in. But I have a couple of questions. If you could just go back to the slide, the one before the last. When you're talking about the solution, of course, we want to see solutions. And you look at the challenges. You said so far, we've achieved just 70% of financial inclusion.
74.
About the issue of access to internet, which is just about. So for me is, how do we surmount all of this? Now, you talk about expanding access to rural areas. Yesterday, when we're talking about the banking and what's going on in the banking system, but you're talking about the rural areas when they don't have internet, where they don't have electricity. So how do we solve this?
Thank you. Thank you very much for that question. So there are many solutions currently. When there are barriers, creativity comes in place. And Nigeria has like USSD, where by feature phones people can open their account, register, make basic transactions, check their balances, pay bills. Then there are QR codes. There are some. The solutions are not the only problem. What is the major problem? As I mentioned, how we change behavior and how financial literacy programs comes in. And it's a lot of footwork. It's not just to deploy some flyers. It's to adjust these programs into local languages, benefit from moving from cash to cash lighter solutions, and what that brings for them apart from paying some transaction fee, you know. So we have to put a transactional history, so tomorrow when digital economy, actually when internet is more available in those areas that they can also access the capital. So I would say it's much more complex question, and it starts from financial literacy programs.
I agree with you totally. And again, please, can you bring back the last slide? Thank you so much. Media, the last slide, please. Thank you. The last points you mentioned, can we have it, please? You talked about, very well, please, the last slide. Who's in charge of the slide? Yes, no, the last, okay, very well. No, go back, yes. Collaboration across sectors, fintech, telecom, banks. But there is competition. There is a trust problem. How do we collaborate when we don't trust one another?
That's a question that is always asked. For the last, I think, year and a half, many forums have a topic, collaboration and interoperability. There's room for everyone to thrive. Need to define where our role is in the ecosystem. The role of payment service banks compared to deposit money banks, let's say, to start from there, we have limited permissible activities. We basically are regulated by central bank and audited in the same principle by the, as I mentioned, if deposit money banks would change the view, it's literally bridging those who are financially unserved and underserved to, over the period of years, to bring them to financial ecosystem. Somebody who never did transaction on their, but if there are smaller players like payment service banks, or a bank to build a scorecard for those deposit money banks to also penetrate that market and offer their loans. When it comes to telcos as well, we look only on competition. For me to have 100% of 20% of the market, or for me to have small portion and the market is one, can only bring this nation to thrive and entire market. So I think we just need to tweak a bit mindset. We looked at not to build everything in our bank. We looked for Nigerian companies, because Nigeria is full of entrepreneurs that are like born or made in Nigeria. We opted for that solution. And this is how we all, on a grand scale, contribute to economy of this country, not reaching out somewhere else, but first looking what is available here at home.
Thank you so much. Any question from the delegates, please? Yes, please, you may put your hands together for her. Yeah, thank you. Questions from the delegates? Let me just quickly see that. A question. As cybersecurity concerns grow, how does 9PSB plans to protect customers?
Much for that question. So there are many solutions available in the market. We just have to select, and we are selecting the one that fit our purpose and our size of the building business. So they're like data encryptions in this market can avoid cybersecurity attack. But let's say if cybersecurity attack happens and somebody steals the data, what is the prevention to encrypt this data? So there are solutions for data encryption that we have in place. There's solution for SOC monitoring, where we basically monitor the transactions and activities. So there are many preventive solutions that are put in place to protect customers on our platform. And there is like, I would like also to emphasize, we are talking, we like buzzwords, and we are talking about cybersecurity. And cybersecurity is a big threat, an issue across the globe. But in Nigeria, when it comes to banking, I think that majority fraud procedures and to have internal control and to have everything put in order so that we protect first customers from in-house and then from cybersecurity.
We've not dealt with the in-house issue. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, what I'm saying that security, I will not name the banks, and the title was cybersecurity, but if you're an expert and you read, you see that fraud came like from human side, like either that banks should be focused on having the monitoring system in place, fraud prevention tools in place, internal control in place, because Nigeria is currently trying to find the ways how to secure for their families. And sometimes these bad things are happen not by bad people, but this is just economic situation in the country. So there is a fraud prevention in-house that has to happen, and then there are solutions for cybersecurity attacks, how to protect companies.
You know, when I was reading through your profile, she's done it in India, then she should know what to do in tackle this. Looking at what you've seen in other parts of the world, particularly with economics similar to ours.
There is a lot of similarity between Indian market and Nigerian, I would say first in size, but there is a lot of difference in countries like Philippines and Indonesia and Vietnam. My approach was always first to understand the market where I came to work. In you know, one size fits all, and I don't believe in copying the models, but taking the knowledge and
Yes. Any question from the delegates? And thank you so very much, Ms. Branca. Please,
Thank you.
let's
It was my pleasure.
there's a question. Tell us your name and the name of your organization, please.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Israel Adeniro from More World Global Resources. We're in the consulting. I'm here today. I mean, by the way, your presentation was quite engaging and interesting. I just want to ask about to be able to get their funds, you know, locally, irrespective of the currency that they are transacting with outside the shores of their place of operation. So that's my question.
More access to the smartphones for Nigerians.
And at the same time, referring to businesses that does transaction outside the shores of their payments, irrespective of the currency.
Okay, so thank you for that question. As I mentioned during the presentation, payment service banks, we have limited permissible activities. So we are not allowed to operate in FX. So what we can do, we can receive remittance from outside of the country, process, and pay out in Nairas. What we can't do, we don't have a solution that actually sends money out. Future, once the milestone is achieved by as it was defined by central bank, I do believe that frameworks are not written in stone, and that there is always room for changing frameworks for different financial institutions. Thank you.
And thank you so much. Mia, we're going to have a photograph session. She'll be leaving almost immediately. And may I call on the convener of this conference, LIIT, please kindly. Thank you so much. We use this background. Thank you. May I have Mr. Dotun Akiwumi? Thank you so much, sir, the convener. Please, let's put our hands together for him. He's done a fantastic job this year. Thank you so much, sir. You're welcome. And let's have members of the team. Shall we have the photograph, please? May I have a confirmation that's done? Thank you so very much. Thank you so much, sis. Thank you so much. Yeah. esteemed delegates, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and again, we want to thank you for being part of this conference, the Future of Payments and Commerce Conference 2024, and with the theme Unlocking the Future of all the presentations, and also our special appreciation to our big sponsors, particularly our main sponsor, which is Precepts Credit System Limited. Thank you so much for sponsoring. To Paralex Bank, thank you so much. Spectrum Microfinance, thank you so much. Super FM, thank you so much. K Studios, thank you. T Plus, and also to Zest. Thank you so very much for putting all of this together, and we appreciate this year's edition. The guests is ready. Otherwise, we might just have to take a break. May I have a confirmation from Mr. Fola, please? We'll be having on the next generation commerce, navigating digital solution in retail, and we is expected to present this. Can I have a confirmation that Smeden is around? Not yet. Again, that is a session that promises to be very exciting because Smeden, when we talk about particularly going in line with government regulation and government's innovations. So SMEDAM is expected to tell us how SMEs can thrive, particularly the next generation of commerce, what is required, and what are the policies and regulations considering the digital evolution in the retail business in Nigeria. And we will be having SMEDAM come join us. Now, this is what we'll do. We'll just take a 5-minute break to allow us to network. Should you want to have a talk with Miss Branca, she's still outside, you might just have a talk with her. So we'll just allow a SMEDAM. Can we just have this 5-minute break, please? Just sitting. And also, it's also an opportunity to get to know other persons who are participating in the conference. Please don't forget, it's all about networking. And just 5 minutes for you to move your body. Just move your body. Don't forget, the next session is a very important one, as we'll be having move around. Just have some move around, just cautious for the water. We'll make available, you need water to drink. We'll provide that for you. So again, where is it? So while we're observing the break, some of the presentation, now you just want to enjoy that yesterday. Can we bring that to you now? Thank you. Gates, thank you so much. And
they'll tell you they'll store information because so that you don't go and sue them. But there are some third-party applications that you are
Remember a time when cash was king currencies, a revolution that let us recognize that the revolution it's about harnessing the power of nations.
And so I said, well, I said, you know how the double conventional never was too quickly we shut our minds. Let them have in
that's very key and that's very important. Enjoy the digital tools that will enable them to distribution of digital technology, and then they can better, the national digital literacy framework now to have 2030 plans of their daily transactions are able to become digital savvy.
In 2020, within the sector, then CBN mobile money operators. This was done in also lifestyle. Then CBN mobile money operators. This was done in also like revive the NF and issue guidelines for operators for PSBs. And by 2023, there's a free.
It takes change. It's the form that changes. Calories, the barter system, currency notes, essential storage, the approach of how we started and where we are now. It's about the 3Ds, or what I call digital transformation, digitalization, and digitization. There are different things. Beyond just moving to, we also now
appreciating the regulars in terms of how we relate to all of that. So it's where we see ourselves, I think SEC and Nigeria. So for example, the services to the face. So we train like a demo, like these are going to work, So before we now start to say, okay, when we see that you appreciate it, you can now begin to adopt it in Africa. So when you see liquidity in the crypto market, and here is the government weighing $100 million and they're happy that they are government to secure a deal of $100 million, immediately that the state is going to go for 25 years, putting the entire state in debt, they are like wondering, when some of this capital or liquidity can be tied, to public spaces. So these are the kind of partnership we see. So by the case of God, I'm able to provide that kind of MOU with two states, those states. We've trained in the public sector on blockchain, and we are looking at bringing real estate into that sector. We're also trying to do that with private engineering on blockchain and how we can use it.
Take credits. They said, okay, open an account. When I have a very into one, such that all they just need to do is just pull your data through your consent from wherever it is, both your KYC data, both your transaction history, then also when repayment, when it's time for repayment. So I mean, think of it as a better. Sorry, this is not fair. Yes. Couple of companies, right? Down, that's data aggregator, false contact data aggregator. So these are data from different points. That's data. So you'll be surprised at how data from the telecommunications in terms of your data subscription, the number of calls you make, and everything. So let me just continue. So
the more I don't recover. But the challenge is because for every use case you need all of that. So it's quite apparently there's an extra $10 to the PCB, the primary circuit board of the phone, and we don't feel like telling someone to buy a phone that is a bit more expensive. So most of the techno manufacturers are looking at this to But in the US, the difference is that most people use an iPhone. So and they already have their own NFC technology. So it's a lot easier to implement. So you're not wondering about producing time. A lot of people are feeling like, I will tap and pocket it for something, then you look at the device there about it. So as a result of that, customer adoption is very low. Because Nigerians are very passionate about money. If you are looking at launching a company and you want product market fit immediately, let it be something around money. People have a market fit. So people are extremely sensitive about their money. Then there are infrastructure gaps, like I said before. Then also, because one of the things that Mustafa said so well in this book was around something that we call quantity. So there is a 1,000, and we should really be scared. There's the fact that, you see, when you have this technology, you need to connect it with people, and you need to be able to make them feel very good. You don't really have. So overcome these challenges, for cost of implementation, initial investment is low, but most of us don't know. For example, we are putting some give drivers and they can actually do board or whichever radio station they listen to. They can use it as touchlights, and they can also use these devices to separate. So we have to go to or come and build that from scratch. And the reason why we wanted to be a phone was because there's an argument that says that phones and payments don't match. It depends on the sector. If you give a phone payment to a Keke Napep driver, they will always bring it because they know that it's a phone. And when you are paying, it's very unlikely that it will go. But the way we even built it is such a way that when you are paying, it locks good gesture. It makes it extremely cheap, very cheap. So cost of implementation is now ridiculous. The security concern. So the upgrade in technology for hacks, there are more secure, so they are really packed. And this has made the security so enhanced that nobody can just come and take money anymore. So simply that, you come 15,000 in the education is you see someone just pay easily. If you are using the red line, the blue line, people use their card. Now the interesting thing is that bottom of the pyramid that this is the boss, the BRT, and now getting familiar with it because it's the only ways of payment. So So people that are not, so early adopters can use promotions to encourage growing for balance. It is, so if you are creating, they will experience it. Internet is still a problem in Africa. They are going to use their service and it's doing the structure because we largely rely on them giving the SIM card anymore. So people start saying that, you know what, I'm going to charge, it's crazy. So one of the work there is whether there is data depending on how you build it. That was exactly how we build the carry card. And then of course sensitization. So a lot of people that started from Lagos in the hospital. So when they
so much, and that was the very exciting. May, can you reconvene to the hall? Thank you so very much. Please, for those of us who are for this conference, sorry, just a minute, please. Can you come to the front, madam, please? Front seats. Again, where are the ushers? I would like for the ushers to kindly call on the delegates to reconverge. All the delegates, please come into the hall. We're starting. All delegates, please reconverge, please. And a big thank you to mine. Thank you so very much. All the delegates are staying with us. My appreciation to Spectrum Microfinance Bank, K Studios. Today is the final day conference. Now, yesterday we had something was that of Mr. Peter Atuma. And Mr. Peter Atuma, Mr. Peter Atuma is the chairman, Precepts Credit System Limited, one of our biggest sponsors of this conference. We have an opportunity, Peter Atuma, yesterday, by Mr. Peter Atuma, relayed to you so that you can have an understanding of some of the much. Is this something we can do to enhance the volume?
I called a few friends and I heard that I'm one of those who say Japan. I came back. We had left this to look at a country. And when I saw that BBN had been introduced, I was very excited for many reasons, which probably made even. So I called a few friends, a digital finance or digital lending company. This is 2018. Remember, it's before the COVID period. 2018. So I said, we're going to be lending millions to people we don't see with our eyes. They freaked out. They said, you know how the normal conventional bankers will say, even the people we see run away with our money and stuff like that. It never will work. And that's part of why I think it's very important for us to understand the seasons. Because too often and too quickly, we shut our. You have the BVN. BVN has their pictures, many other pieces of information. Then I said, why do you have to, have in-person documentation to lend? But I said, we're going to lend without seeing these people and across the country. So we set our sail. This was 20, to technology. So just to put it in perspective, remember getting into the COVID, what they call it is 20,000% in 3 years. Like the thing of creating launches for everybody. And by the way, I'm glad that the MD of the bank is here as well, Source Microfinance Bank, giving birth to some other lots of fintech organizations, which also. And my hope today is that our minds will be stirred, keen personally to go and be talking. And my hope today is that I was thinking we can have a new season and my season, then you would fly. Is that okay? All right, so let's just a bit of some of the points we're going to look through. Of course, you would have heard me say, first, it's a structured network. So when we talk about touch points that we have to go through as well, which would touch on again these technological advancement and opportunities that we have today, but driven by technology and digital world, causing a significant impact in lending. 2018 is given in just a short space of time. We started off a microfinance bank, the Source Bank. Even I was called into a meeting. They were amazed at the. I'm really so proud of what it's very possible. Databases, which also provides lending platform, the money lender, credit scoring model, those clever, fintech way of credit analysis. And then we move into the mobile app-based lending. I don't want to expose my education. Had said that mobile phone is for the rich. It's not for everybody. Many years. If you don't remember that, just forget about when it was said. But like the marketplace, every mobile phone, but into smartphones. We instead, with your phone, we say it's good to know the time. What time is it? And sometimes I cry for Africa. If companies want to wait, it'll be a dumb thing for us to work this thing. Briefly on what we see at this point as the three key influencers of the digital credit system. Number one, I told you about the growth we experience in principles for lending will be that we must lend into. Otherwise, what we found was, for example, was steal his wife's, get the money. He knows that our systems will only transfer the money to the person's, to the woman's, trying to get some money, so but mistakenly give a nice wife, transfers the money transfer the money to the husband. And then we start deducting because we partner with some very strategic partners, including a company called Deduct. Connect to and have access to, gives you high collection rate. So we partner with this organization, payments from the woman's account. And she screams, look at all the records and all of that. The fight starts at home. Now last year, didn't tell his wife and all that. So he got the woman's number, called the wife. For her identity is just so for where or anywhere that's using blockchain tech. We stop with a lot is king. It's to compass is to the pilot. But I think it was just maybe in Asaba. And the pilot are now, they couldn't recognize it. When you ask the pilot, it says completely up and as a one is regulation. And workshops, I going on in the world of digital lenses. One, so that we can all work together. Next slide. I'll talk here on, again, some of the things have been spoken extensively here, so I'll probably just not pound it too much. Here are some of the risks and challenges in the digital credit systems. Data privacy, 100% up the information and put in, but at least you can minimize. Security people will tell you about the CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. There has to be a balance of all of that. Otherwise, if the data is too secured, then no one can access it. Challenges that we face. Have in-person documentation and processing of that loan, so a man could use his wife. We've been able to stop that. It's the company actually, by the way. It's ethical considerations. It's a challenge that a lot of data lenders have at the moment as well, which is why some of, especially in the government sector, because that's the public sector is where a lot of the these data lenders focus on through partnerships, of course. you find in some less than 1,000 naira because they're using all the other monies to pay for debt. You have to have some ethical consideration as well. Rather that the Docs platform ties in those kind of environment is that regulatory and compliance challenges, I talked about that earlier, lack of comprehensive credit data, the heavy regulation of the central bank can get away with many things. If you're regulated by central bank, you'd have to almost like compulsorily use the so that's some of the challenges, that not enough regulation processes to get their monies back in the event of complete default. So let's pause for a moment. And this is not a system solving. So has it increased the problem exclusive of the same segment? Is there opportunities for length as well? Has it addressed the length? Are we still lending with the same mindsets? Changing really, that's what closes our eyes to opportunities. I see not enough resources to even run with all the opportunities that I see. But every day, that's what I see. In the midst of, think about this, anything that becomes a problem, it was pain to solve. So that was an opportunity to see opportunities everywhere. How does the data credit system reach those outside the digital world? And they are made the road ahead. We can't, from where I stand, we can't go verification. Again, I talked about DigiSign. You know, similar companies as well can come up as well to solve this problem of identification. Where right now, with DocuSign is, many people can still deny that they actually signed those documents. So this company came up with that solution where it's extremely difficult to deny database or your NI database and then signs in a way that cannot be denied. I thought that was an opportunity, so we partner with them as well. That sector, again, understanding the season we're in helps us prepare. Someone asked me one day, how did you make so much profit? How did you do so well? First thing we did, verification, no in-person bank lenders, were all paper-based. I mean, take future and the opportunity earlier as well, so I'm not going to, again, AI on this as well. It creates another season ourselves to today. In the end, how we as well, what are we allowing in the future?
Thank you so very much. And that was the session with Mr. Very Impact Systems Limited, one of our biggest sponsors on this year's edition of the Future of Payments and Commerce Conference 2024. Again, want to thank you, and also want to appreciate those of you. Next, we'll be having Unlocking the Future of is a subsidiary of the MTN with and creating the needed dynamics in the environment. And I have the manager products, Momo PSB, Oluwanifemi Donald Ogunride, to make this presentation. Please let's put our hands together for.
Thank you so much, sir. Leveraged the banking. We're in the era where banking is becoming more digital, and innovation is becoming. We have our open API within 24 hours. So VPN we used to do in the past, or site-to-site VPN, or remote VPN of any sort. But the APIs are available over the internet, and to do is to, over the internet, launch the product, the payment product within 24 hours. Because once you test and you're comfortable with the APIs and we're able to quickly collect your onboard successfully, you integrate and then we open your API on. This here highlights the process. So definitely, because we're an organization, Momo PSB is a payment service bank regulated by CBN. We will follow CBN guidelines on doing the KYC. This is validated by at least the AIP accounts. That's registered pro live, and then we push for anything that ought to go and generate their credentials themselves, rate it, then they create. So this more or less highlights the different use cases we have on our API integration as at today. We have the request to pay, which allows you to a push response back to the e-commerce or the payment provider that is initiating this request. It could be, so I can paint a scenario. So let's assume there's a payment, a Momo customer purchases on their platform. They can actually integrate with these open APIs for payments for that particular product. So all they have to do is send the first API request. You have completed the integration, just like I highlight the merchant, the e-commerce provider, or any digital merchant we credit their accounts to. So the next one is payment acceptance linked to the pay. So we have some digital providers, is Boss API, where you open API, the same, like the previous speakers said. Everything has been likes of Piggyvest, and actually have a KYC API too that they can consume. So let's say you have requested transaction status API, you to the API. So more or less. Also, where we allow some merchants to integrate with our mobile application. So as at today, out and you pay with Momo. Also, this integration is very easy. Within a week, we can of product to is what digital sample I write a lot. At a glance within the Momo and the integration approaches of the merchants, they get much size payment. They have like a new way and provide their services to develop and go with which is CBN. So and we are really on board on Momo. Leveraged, so we have leveraged the evolving technology to ensure that payments and e-commerce, it's for your time.
Again, Madam Manager Product Momo. Again, Madam Manager Product Momo PSB. Since you've presented issue of identity trust to make your system, robust.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Prevent identity theft. Prevent identity theft. Especially when it's initiated from the what is in it. Especially when it's initiated from the what is in it with your transaction PIN. Your banks and some PSBs. So in case, let's say, banking solution has been compromised, you still have to authorize solution has been compromised. You still have to authorize it to assume now speaking about session hijack processes we put in place. So we use within our solution of the service provider at our end. So once you integrate with us, we'll collect your IP and whitelist it of the service provider at our end. So once you integrate with us, we'll collect your IP and whitelist it. So any session or any request we get from any IP, our own server. So one session. So that prevents.
Answer you gave, but again, in one of the sessions yesterday, the presenter took us by the presence of AI. A lot of people felt, well, don't you think you're too...
The question. The two-factor authentication could actually be compromised with it.
To interject, particularly we have is in-house.
Question. So yes, information. So we use certificates, but we're also, because they are still in the pipe void, because we're moving into the era of AI. So we're leveraging emerging technologies to prevent this type of attacks.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Oluwani. Thank you so
time.
much. Please put your hands together for her. Thank you so much. And that is the Manager Products Momo PS Future of Pay Commerce Conference 2024. We must thank you sincerely, particularly for those of you participating online and those of you who are. All of the sessions are available. Kindly reach out to the available email addresses that you would want the slides and participants. Think about the third edition of all the potentials that are with us. Once again, on behalf of the organizers, the convener of the precepts, and also thank you so much. All of this happened. To all the technical guys, thank you so much. And gentlemen of the press, thank you so much. And this is wishing.